On the weekend, Dustin Poirier had his last fight. It was his retirement fight with Max Holloway for the BMF belt. And he didn't win it, just like he didn't win the undisputed title. But we're going to get into the career of Dustin Poirier, the career of Conor McGregor. And I want to compare a very important verse from the Bible. Let's get into the video. For those of you who watch UFC, there's a fair bit of us in the Christian world, whether we're Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant. We're big fans of the company, and Dustin Poirier is a company favorite. People love this guy. But I want to go back to when he first became a UFC fighter, the early days. I'm 31, so I would have been a teenager when this was all happening. And first time I would have heard of him is when he fought Conor McGregor. When he fought Conor McGregor, he had a decent record, and I don't know it off the top of my head. He had a decent record going in, and it was meant to be a competitive fight. Dustin Poirier was on his way up, having some good notable victories, and Conor McGregor was in the same position, except maybe with a bit more of a fan base behind him from the country of Ireland. And of course, Conor McGregor absolutely destroyed him mentally before the fight, and I think he got him out of there in the first round by knockout. And after that, people thought that Dustin Poirier was going to be just another journeyman. Another guy who, he beats a fair bit of guys, but he also isn't going to be a world champion. He isn't an elite fighter. He's just the guy that you need to pass through, get into the higher ranks of UFC fighters. You want to crack the top 15, you got to get through Dustin Poirier. And Conor was obviously Conor. Conor, who is the most famous MMA fighter ever, went on to become a 2-division world champion, achieved greatness like nothing compared to what Dustin was doing. And in this time, over the next, 4 years, 5 years, I don't even know the numbers, I have to look into it. But in this years and years of Conor being successful, Conor, getting that fight with Floyd, making 100 million, Conor just being the face of the UFC, Dustin was left in his shadows, but Dustin was also regrouping. Dustin was training, Dustin was in the dungeons, working hard. And eventually Dustin, he also climbed up the ranks. He became a notable fighter. Not as big as Conor, okay? He was never as big as Conor. But he was climbing up, having amazing battles and becoming a fan favorite, becoming someone that people are like, man, you want to watch a good fight? Tune into Dustin Poirier. And that's a respectable thing. If you're a fighter, if everyone's saying that, you put on great fights, you'll be happy with that. You'd be very happy with that. And so that was who Dustin Poirier was. Conor McGregor was just the face, the money maker, the cash cow of the UFC. I want to fast forward to the end of their careers. I want to fast forward now to this moment. Conor McGregor has gone on a downward spiral. He has tarnished his legacy through drugs, through women, cheating on his wife, and being caught in scandals all too often. During this time, Dustin Poirier has had epic fights. He also did come back. And towards the end of their careers, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor had another 2 fights. Dustin Poirier came back, he fought Conor McGregor, he knocked him out. Conor McGregor ran it back with him, snapped his leg in half, and hasn't returned to MMA since. And moving forward, to look at the end of their careers of how now Dustin is retired and Conor McGregor has been unofficially retired since he broke his leg. No one really believes he's coming back. You look at how they started and look at how it is now. The end of his career, Dustin Poirier, he never achieved greatness on paper. On paper, he never became an undisputed champion. He never did what Conor did, was never a 2-division world champion, right? He didn't do any of these things. Yet, in the eyes of the fans, he's someone that they all love. So now, we think to ourselves, Conor McGregor, how did he get himself in this position? He was great. He did achieve better than Dustin Poirier, but his arrogance, his pride, trusting in himself, when you have pride is when the biggest fall comes. This is where the downfall of many kings, empires, all sorts of leaders has come when they believed in themselves. And this happened to Connor. And Dustin, on the other hand, through grit, through hard work, he collected a few losses along the road. However, they earned him the respect. They earned him the scars, the battle scars, who formed him into the fighter he is today. And he retires in his last fight by losing, but still being beloved by everyone because he put on one last masterclass, one last, fight for the ages, fight of the year contender. Why am I bringing all this up? Why am I talking about UFC? I was thinking about it, and it blew me away how different their careers started and how different they ended. The verse that Jesus tells us, the first shall be last and the last shall be first, really resonates with me. And it's a verse of hope. It's a verse, not hope for myself, but more hope for the world. When I see videos of, these young women talking about very, unaliving babies in the womb, or when I see topics about the degeneracy in the world or how children are being raised, it's sad. It's disgusting. It's all of these things. I feel the same emotions everyone else does that has half a brain. Obviously, it's not what we want as Christians, but I also have a hope that these young people that have been brainwashed, that have been taken down this road, also have hope. They also have a chance of repentance, and not only of repentance, but a chance of greatness. Maybe they didn't start off in the right family. Maybe they didn't read the Bible and pray together since they were young. Maybe they didn't do any of these things. Maybe it took them until they were 50 years old to find Christ, maybe even older. But through so many characters and so many saints, we see that God can use anyone. And perhaps the time of suffering, the time of being away from God was their opportunity to be prepared for the moment they were going to be called. And I see all sorts of people. Even right now, there's a rapper from Australia, or an artist from Australia called 360. I used to listen to him when I was 18, back when I was partying. And the craziest thing is happening now with his transformation to Christ. He has come to Christ. I actually sent him an Orthodox study Bible. He reads it, he highlights it, he loves it. And his stories on his Instagram now are all about Jesus, all about telling his followers, those hundreds of thousands of people out there who have been in the same position he was in, is giving them hope. And if you looked at him when he was young, he was the biggest atheist, the biggest hedonist, following his own desires, and he was against God. Now he's working for God. Saul was persecuting the church, was consenting to the death of Saint Stephen. He goes on to write more than half the New Testament. He goes on to preach to how many countries, and to be involved in shipwrecks, to be involved in all sorts of persecutions, being thrown in prison, beaten. Saint Mary of Egypt, we know that she was sleeping with men, and she got to the point, before she was Saint Mary of Egypt, she was sleeping with men to the point where she wasn't even a prostitute. She wasn't doing it for money, she was doing it for pleasure. And we who know our life story know the extent to which she became a saint and a desert mother, an ascetic of the deserts of Egypt. Saint Moses the Strong, or Saint Moses the Black, this man who was a robber, a thief, a murderer, a gang member, the extent of humility he reached is something I would only dream of understanding, yet alone attaining. And that's why it gives me hope. I do see so much hurt in the world, so many people going down the wrong path. I see it in my day-to-day life. In so many ways I see it day to day. But I always have the hope. I always have hope that these people, once they encounter Christ, once they go from being blind to now seeing, will become better Christians than myself and people who have been in the church their entire lives. We don't know what God's doing through these people. So I wanted this to be a message of hope. And this is honestly my mindset. It's not like a cop-out mindset, a mindset where I think, or maybe, hopefully they, change. No, like, I genuinely believe each and every one of these people can change in this regard. Am I going to change them by debating them and showing them that they're wrong and proving facts to them? No. Am I going to change them overnight? No. Perhaps in 5 years, after you have the conversation with someone in your life that doesn't agree with you on religious topics, maybe then they'll start to warm up. Maybe through your prayers, through your constant love for them, God will start to work. You've planted the seed. There is being water added to it. God is giving the increase. And now look at what's going to happen. They'll become more dedicated to God than you ever were. And they're going to be the person that you go to for inspiration, that you go to learn from and take advice. So I hope that this is just a reminder for all of us. Anyone can become much greater in the kingdom of heaven, much greater in the eyes of God than us who are living the life of the church, of repentance, confession, partaking of the Eucharist. We who think we're doing so well, and we who think those people are outside, those people, no, they can become much better than us. I haven't only just seen this in the Bible and the lives of the saints. I've seen this through people I know personally. Okay. So, God bless you guys. I've just arrived to work and I want to apologize that I'm doing videos from my car. I have no time. I have no time to do actual videos from the old room, but I hope these are still translating into something edifying for us. And I just wanted to share my thoughts on the recent UFC, the retirement of Dustin Poirier, and how Dustin has ended his career on a much higher note than Conor, and how Conor began so much higher than Dustin, so much more possibilities, and it's ended in a different way. And that both can be true for us. We can be Dustin, we can be starting off our life in a much lower way than other people, disadvantaged in whatever way you want to think, and we can end up ending our lives, which is the most important point. The most important point in our lives is, how do we end our life? How do we walk through the door of death? Is it in a state of repentance, a state of pursuing Christ, or is it in a state of arrogance like Conor McGregor? Will our downfall be that I am in the church? I have been, serving and doing all these things since a young man. And so as I become a husband, a father, an elder in the church, I have arrogance brewing inside of me. And I think to myself, I don't need to confess. I don't need to do all these things. I've been in the church for 60 years. I'm fine. And then you end your life in arrogance. You end your life separating yourself from God slowly through the deceitfulness of the devil. And you end up like Conor, tarnishing everything. At the last moment, you ruined everything. You had a good run. You did well. And then right at the end of the race, you don't take the advice of St. Paul to keep striving, to keep pursuing forward, to finish the race, to win the crown, but rather, right at the end, you stopped. Right at the end, you let the devil win. It's an important lesson, and a lesson for us all. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next one.